Good morning, or mid-morning. So we're here today to talk about something that Richie's got a lot of experience around, and that's helping agencies bridge that buying gap with publishers. And Richie's spent some time with technology training and getting into agencies and working with agencies to really help their teams really learn about tools that they can use to really deliver better service to their clients. So reading some of your thought leadership, and how are premium publishers moving into programmatic? Are there stages that you see that you can tell the agencies out in the audience here, that kind of these stages that these publishers are moving through, that it may help them better deal and build better relationships?
Certainly. Yeah, we definitely do see stages across how publishers are embracing using automated tools to help their sales efforts. And just to be sure, in a previous life, I had the opportunity to work with agencies and doing training, and certainly in the past few years at LiveRail, we very much focus on the publisher side. So some of these thoughts, just as a disclaimer, are going to be based off of what we see in working with publishers. We're certainly not on the ground pitching agencies or advertisers about this inventory. It's very much servicing publishers, and happy to share the stages. So based on what we've noticed over the past few years, if we had to break it down into 3 simple stages, usually a stage 1 would look like a publisher who realizes that it's important to address all the potential demand out there, and so they're likely doing the traditional agency direct sales, so going to an agency, pitching, walking out, hopefully with an IO and creative tags. But they're also realizing that through companies such as an ad network, they might close a few deals, get a few tags to set up in their own direct ad server, so the publisher first-party ad server, or they're even going in and plugging it into an SSP. However, it's very much sort of disjointed from a larger strategy that we see publishers embrace farther down the road. So that would be stage 2. So in stage 2, most likely for publishers, the notion of an open exchange or even a private exchange is certainly a reality. They've come to embrace an SSP. They're likely wanting the SSP to do much of the heavy lifting, so the SSP will bring demand from a demand-side platform. However, the publisher may not want to fully embrace the opportunity to address the demand that's coming through the DSP, so they'll stick to relying on the DSP to embrace agencies and advertisers. And then finally, in the 3rd stage, what we'll notice is that publishers realize the great one-to-one connections that in the past have been manual, sort of these great premium custom sponsorships and executions, do go well alongside an automated or a programmatic strategy. So what that means is a publisher might go speak with a large advertiser, large agency, and instead of just going to pitch one campaign, they might talk about a larger partnership, right? So they might go and share all the different properties that are available across the different devices, things like connected TV and desktop, and really look to see, we certainly have these custom sponsorships that are available, then we also have access that you may choose to enable through a demand-side platform, bring your own targeting and data to the table, and so that tends to be the 3 stages.
So with the understanding of the publisher stages, are those similar stages of how an agency's jumping into programmatic?
We've also seen through what some of the publishers have shared with us, as well as what our DSP partners have indicated, that there is a bit of progress there from a stage 1 to a stage 3, where agencies and advertisers are tapping into automated buying in much the same way that publishers are moving to automated selling. So stage 1 might be an agency and advertiser, again, doing the custom sponsorships and very manual buys, and also likely buying programmatically but not being aware of it. So they might work with a network or a DSP who's tapping into these automated tools, but it may not be part of a larger strategy, and it might be a separate budget. At a stage 2, from what we've seen, it might be an agency and advertiser really thinking about an inventory strategy that encompasses these premium publishers who have these automated channels for accessing their inventory. So they might go and work directly with a DSP to tap into a specific site on a specific device. But again, it might be a separate budget for a one-off type of opportunity. And then in stage 3, what we're noticing is that's where we see that one-to-one connection between advertiser and publisher for really great content and great inventory become fully fledged. So that's an agency and advertiser opening up with a publisher, maybe at the start of the year. This is what we have in our schedule for the year, some of the campaigns and initiatives. We'd love to do some direct sponsorships. We'd also like to tap into our DSP that houses CRM data even, and really approach it from that perspective.
So stage 1 through 3 stages for both publishers and agencies. What if you're an agency that is at the 3rd stage, right? You're fully integrated with programmatic, but you're trying to work with publishers that are a little slow. Any recommendations of how to bridge that buying gap? Sure.
At least what we've noticed for those publishers who are still in the early days of going to a fully automated system, where they have advertisers who are interested, who are very much on board with sort of the direct sales as well as sales through programmatic channels. One item to keep in mind if you do work with a publisher who is, I hate to dumb it down to 3 stages, but they might be on the earlier end than the later end, is to realize that publishers like the agency advertiser side care about success of the organization. So publisher still cares about great content, launching great shows, having great usage of the property, and so anything you can do as an agency or advertiser to show that you're going to help the publisher focus on building great content and less on going out to closing deals and really fighting through that, that's a great opportunity. So an agency and advertiser could approach a publisher and again, be as open as possible and talk about making it a good partnership, viewing it as both parties have something useful to bring to the table, and that it so happens that there's an automated component that goes well with the human component that can make it successful.
So in 2014, late 2014, LiveRail launched an RTB initiative for agencies. Can you explain that?
Sure. So LiveRail has been building tools for publishers for quite some time. And over the past 2 years, we really focused on the needs of premium publishers, really great content producers who have inventory coming in over Roku, Apple TV, even desktop. And what we've noticed is, just to bridge that gap between the content and the automated solution was a challenge, that some publishers wanted additional assistance, and they wanted some assistance in connecting with some of the brands that would be most relevant to that publisher. And so what we did is go and do some outreach across those advertisers that the publisher asked us to, and really describe some of the opportunities that are available. And we help really make it accessible through whatever preferred programmatic platform that they use. So it might look like approaching an advertiser that has relevant brands, talking about what the publisher is doing, talking about some of the different ways to access it, and make sure that we're doing a great job of facilitating that transaction that might start with an advertiser, go into the agency, demand-side platform, and then into the LiveRail managed exchange for that premium publisher.
Results. What were some of the results that
Sure.
you've been seeing over the last, 5 months?
Sure. Yeah, in terms of results, it really depends on the types of opportunities the publisher wants to have us go after, as well as what the agency and advertiser are wanting to do. So we've noticed, a good win is often the first step. So that might mean that an agency or advertiser wants to run that first test campaign. And so they're going to go and throw out a deal ID for a specific publisher inventory segment that might be targeting some type of data. And they're just looking for impressions and a high completion rate. And that's a big win that everyone gets excited about. Other big wins include, we've done with some very large publishers, massive upfronts. So the publisher and the advertiser have talked about what they want the year to look like. And that carries some sort of direct sold custom sponsorships, very high impact, as well as these open-ended, sometimes first look, sometimes more guaranteed access through automated channels. For the most part, we're gauging on how the publisher responds and how the demand-side platform tells us how things are going, and then we looked, again, just to make sure that the automated aspect of it flows smoothly.
So last question. One of the themes of this conference is about talent and culture. And you spent some time in your career training agencies on tech platforms. Any recommendations you can give the audience about kind of tech training programs to ensure that their staffs are well trained and prepared for their jobs in this ongoing, ever-changing platform digital space?
Sure. I don't think I have anything too revolutionary to share, but what I learned in working with a lot of folks who are just out of college, most people didn't really understand how a website loaded in a browser. They didn't grasp the concept of an ad server. So to think, to go straight into talking about how a DSP works and brand safety and viewability, I just came to realize that you have to start with the basics, and that way folks can get on board with the core concepts that they need to understand, and then go ahead and jump into the really advanced executions that they're going to run into a little bit later. Okay,
great. I think we're out of time, but Richie's here to answer any questions after and during lunch, and he's got a couple associates here, Amy and Rajiv, and they're here to talk to you all. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.